Hello, one and all. This is my reaction, review, and cut content discussion of Dr. Stone's Science Future Part 2, Episode 8. And holy mother of God above, people, this might literally be the most insane episode of this series we are ever going to get. No, I'm not joking, because first off, we're starting halfway through chapter 185, which is very unusual for this anime, and that's going to include a very, very questionable panel. And then, there's also the fact that the name of this episode is What I Once Sought to Destroy, the name of chapter 188, meaning this episode is going to cover half of 185, all of 186, all of 187, and maybe the entirety of 188, which would be insane for this anime, rapid pace. But also, chapter 188 is perhaps the most insane, most dramatic, most intense chapter of this entire series, and I cannot tell you how excited and terrified I am to see it animated. But alright, so let's get started in 3, 2, 1. Actually, wait, scratch that. I should probably mention, where they left off after the last episode. They're going to petrify Stanley and his entire gang once they get close, though this is going to require them to actually fix Medusa first and have someone on standby far enough away that they won't get caught up in the petrification. Alright, all that said, let's start. 3, 2, 1, begin! I do love the plan just to blow themselves up. It is such a freaking fantastic plan. Yeah, absolutely no surprise there. I saw a lot of people online being like, oh no, Suka can't be off alone in the wilderness. That'd be so dangerous. She's just an itty-bitty little child. No, this girl is insane. This girl is God tier. In fact, we saw her card, her stats. She is literally a triple S tier character. If there's one thing she can do, it's survive in the freaking wilderness. And hide. She's also very, very good at hiding. She's managed to deceive Ibarra, Zeno, literally every villain in this series by hiding and pretending just to be a regular old watermelon. God, I love this girl. That's also another good point. Let's not forget that armed soldiers with machine guns are coming to kill them all. Suka will be way, way safer, far, far away from all that gunfire. Also, I love that you can see her dancing at the bottom of the screen. She is so excited to be given a role. And yeah, obviously they're sending her by herself. Francois is going as well, because Francois is not a fighter. Francois is a fantastic cook. Francois is an immaculate butler. Francois is also a triple S tier character, but Francois is not a goddamn fighter. So yeah, they aren't going to be anywhere near the combat. Seriously, Francois, you literally just said like, oh, we gotta keep a close eye, and then you fully lost sight of Suka, who is somehow already in the top of a tree. Anybody who thinks that Suka cannot survive in the wilderness is freaking insane. Another important point, Suka just spotted the enemy invaders before anyone else. Again, triple S tier character right there. Episode 8, What I Once Sought to Destroy. Hey, Jinro and Matsukaze are here too. Good for them. Definitely concerning they're bringing hostages with them. I mean, in one hand, it's like, oh, well, we can't just leave them on the boat because it might be up to some shenanigans. But on the other hand, it's like, okay, if the science team doesn't surrender, doesn't do X, Y, and Z, we'll threaten to kill them. We'll threaten to cut off some fingers. We'll threaten to do awful, terrible things to them that are definitely a violation of the Geneva Code. Also, there's something I'm noticing more this season, but does anyone else think that Suka got bigger? Because I feel like we're seeing more of her face, more of her hair through the helmet than we ever did before. I mean, according to the wiki, she was 9 when we first met her, and now she's 12. 3 freaking years have passed. And while, malnourishment will mean that she's always going to have a stunted growth, she is still a growing child. Her appearance should be changing as the series progresses. I just find that interesting. Does anyone else think that she's growing more, or am I just thinking way too much about this? Here we go. This is another really important point. Everyone else is saying like, oh, well, if you leave Suka in the woods, there's dangerous bugs and animals. They're going to eat her. They're going to kill her. Except, no. Senku already thought of that and sprayed them with the army ant pheromones, meaning that every spider, every jaguar, every predator in the woods is going to look at them and be like, oh, no, 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 no. I am not going anywhere near them. Okay, and oof, I don't like this. I really, truly don't like spiders. And weirdly enough, while I was reading the series, So I'm a Spider, So What, I actually got creeped out a number of times, but yeah, this is unpleasant. This is very, very unpleasant to watch, and we're about to get an interesting scene. Yep, Charlotte just got bit. Oh no! Interesting. Yeah, this was definitely way more suggestive in the manga. I mean, I think a lot of people online have been pointing out, like, oh, she has such a skin-tight suit and all that. Manga, it was way, way more apparent, and I'm surprised I shouldn't say I'm that surprised they didn't focus on it too long. Clearly, anime is trying to make things a little less 18 plus, but still, it was a very, very memorable panel from the manga. Yeah, but the important point here is that Charlotte is not doing well. Is her name Charlotte? I'm pretty sure her name is Charlotte. Either way, she's not doing well, and she very much needs medicine, which thankfully Suka just happens to have. Okay, no, they went right back to the panel. The exact same animation of her spasming on the ground. Amazing. And of course, dear old sweet Suka is not going to hesitate when she sees someone in need. Even if that person is the enemy, she is going to grab the vial and she is going to save them. Also, this is another one of my favorite panels from this chapter. Just Suka going full on, basically Metroid mode, turning into a ball and rolling straight at the enemy. She's also fast. She is really, really fast. God dang, girl. Good for you. He pretty much won't. I mean, we're going to see this episode that Stanley will hesitate in certain circumstances, but if he views the person as a threat to his efforts to save Zeno, he won't hesitate. He will 100% slaughter them. I mean, Zeno is not wrong right here. Asuka went out of her way to go save, an enemy, and as a result, she's about to be captured, which is just so, so bad. Also, this feels like such a corny line to me, like, a remarkably fragile cleavage surface. Like, yeah, Zeno, I get you're making a reference to the diamonds, but that just doesn't land as hard as you seem to think it does. I'm sorry, man. Interesting. She's actually asking why she saved her. In the manga, she just said, thank you. Oh, Suka, you are so precious. You are too good for this world. You are genuinely too good for this world. I can't remember if Charlotte ends up helping Suka after this or not. I mean, it feels like she absolutely should, but I don't recall if that happened. Yep, and now she's having guns pointed at her. Dudes, she is a 12-year-old girl who looks like she's 9, and you're pointing guns at her. That's bad. That is so, so bad. Also, yeah, that's a problem. These soldiers don't seem to realize that this girl does not speak English. She does not know what freeze means. In fact, they only know what they're about to say it means to turn water into ice, but that's not going to help them know that means that she's supposed to stop, that she's not supposed to run away. What does freeze mean? Doesn't it mean to freeze? Okay, that is such a bad translation right there. Oh, that's amazing. I love it. Run, girl, run! I mean, she absolutely should not be running, but yeah, running is a smart move right now, based on what she knows. Funnily enough, in the manga, one of the guys says, "Why ain't this little idiot freezing?" Again, dude, fully is not aware of the fact that she does not speak English. Or she speaks very fractured English, because apparently in Ishigami Village, they use a mixture of Japanese and English, and I think maybe even some Russian, as a result of all of the different astronauts who form the village, but still, she does not know what the term means. She's like a goddamn pinball, and I love it. Oh god, Francois has a knife. Francois has a knife, people. We should all be very, very afraid. There we go. Yeah, there we go. I love this is basically triggering Matsukaze's PTSD, because he was a warrior who fought in a time when the number one threat was, weapons being thrown at him, Medusas being thrown at him. So he spots that knife before anybody else. This is such an awesome shot of the blade spinning in his eye. I love it. Oh, that wasn't... that shot definitely was more impressive in the manga. The dude did a full backflip after kicking a dude in the face. Another one of my favorite pages. Seriously, there are so many good pages in these couple chapters. There we go. We saved Jinro. Oh, was that a smart idea? Was that really a smart idea? I have to imagine, like, you even tied up might be more deadly than Jinro is. Okay, I know I keep flashing back to the manga here, but I have to, because this page is so amazing. It is one of the most dynamic things I've ever seen in all of manga, as it just, the panels are crooked. They're angled to give it a sense of movement, just give it a sense of things are happening fast. They're quickly, you gotta move. This is all happening in like the blink of an eye. The flashbacks, his panicking, him seeing Suka about to be shot dead. This is all happening in just moments, in just seconds. And then that's it. Then he decides he's actually gonna freaking do something. Yeah, as much of a scum as Jinro is, he loves Suka, and he's not gonna let this little girl get shot because he's too much of a coward to act. There we go. There we go. Also, importantly, this dude has spent his entire life training with a spear. He is actually fairly strong. He should fully be shot to death right now, but he is still pretty strong. Oh, she's so impressed and amazed. I love it. And of course, he had to ruin it. He seriously had to ruin it by getting arrogant. God dang, Jinro, you kinda suck. Like, you can't have a good moment. Like, seriously, your best moment was being stabbed to death by Ibara because you died before you could say anything lame. And now, just ever since then, you always ruin it. Whenever you get the chance, you always ruin it. But for right now, Matsukaze is proud of him for standing up, for fighting, for being like the old master he once knew. Of course, that means nothing when Stanley shows up with a gun and starts firing. And again, this page looked better in the manga. Though I will say it is impressive that Stanley was able to shoot him a whole bunch and just break his weapon, not him. Although I guess, interesting, was the way that was framed meant to make it look like Jinro had been shot in the anime? These men are not murderers, but soldiers. Yep. I mean, they're soldiers who are pointing a gun at a little 9-year-old looking girl, so they aren't the most ethical soldiers in the world, but still, They are soldiers, and they somewhat adhere to the Geneva Convention. They aren't doing this because they just enjoy, torturing little children. They're doing this because they have a mission. They're on a mission to rescue Zeno, and they're willing to do whatever it takes to accomplish that. Now, does killing Jinro, Matsukaze, and Suka help them advance that mission? No, not at all. They are much more valuable as hostages than they are as corpses, so they won't be killed as long as they are not a major threat to the operation. Oh, that was interesting. The subtitles just said, "We are civilians, we are civilians." But I think she said it first in English and then in Japanese. Yeah, because I don't know how well any of these people actually speak Japanese. I know Zeno spoke Japanese because he talked to them back and forth, but can anyone else speak it? I have to imagine someone here is translating, or else this is going to be a very awkward conversation. Civilian doctor. Yes, Suka is a civilian doctor. This tiny little child with a melon on her head is a civilian doctor. That sounds insane, but Francois is making a very good point right here. Suka was administering medical aid. You cannot kill someone administering medical aid. The army gets very upset when you do that. I'm pretty sure that's a war crime. Yeah, that almost certainly is a war crime. In fact, let's Google it. Yes, launching an intentional attack against medical personnel in the context of an international or non-international armed conflict is in fact a war crime, punishable under the international humanitarian law and international criminal law. Huzzah! So yes, killing Suka here while she was trying to administer aid, especially to one of their own, is definitely a big no-no. Yeah, they did separate from Senku's gang because they knew that things were about to get very violent. They had another reason, of course, but they were leaving partly because things were about to get violent, so she's not lying. That is in fact true. I've always said the best lies are those that are based in truth. If you can stick really close to the truth, then you're basically solid. Like if you said, oh yeah, this person, they stole your pen and then they punched you, and that person really did steal your pen, you're pretty likely to believe that they also punched you. Weird analogy, but that's what I came up with. That feels like the weirdest possible way to capture Suka, considering she could just, slip out of her helmet. Oh, hey, I'm sorry right there, Leonard. As far as I know, Francois is gender neutral. They use they, them. I mean, are you looking to be canceled? Because that might get you canceled, even in the year 3000. Yeah, exactly. Well, Francois' actual message, oh, we're splitting into two, didn't really mean anything at all. The fact that they were willing to send out a message means, okay, we're captured, we're caught, we're with the enemy right now. And that also means that Senku now knows exactly where the enemy is located and can go rescue them, can go save them, can go do something good. And thankfully they have Chelsea, who can map it out just so insanely easily. Yeah, Jen is very, very afraid because he knows exactly what this means. Not that the enemy is going to come after them, but rather that one of their own is going to go after the enemy. We have to hold her down. Dude, there is no one in this world who can hold down freaking Kohaku when Suka is in danger. She's basically her big sister, and she will do anything to protect her. She left the big fighting tournament where her sister's life was literally on the line to go make sure Suka was safe. There we go. There we freaking go. And that is... seriously, a lot of leg right there. Maybe a bit too much leg right there. Another great shot from the manga, though, is her just bouncing between the trees, moving at just frankly inhuman and ridiculous speeds. Also, we're now at chapter 187, Cyber Gorilla. Yeah, so basically the plan right now is to hold off Stanley, to delay him, to slow him down, to do whatever he can to keep Stanley from getting close to them until Koski manages to create the perfect Medusa battery, until he manages to activate the Medusa and petrify both himself and Stanley's entire team. Of course, they've now lost their, reviver, so someone else needs to take a position, but that is a small issue. Anybody could do that. I love that. I love that they're actually on the alert for wire traps. I mean, Chrome's idea before was like so brilliant, like, oh, I'm gonna set up wire traps to petrify them. Turns out, even in the, new Stone Age, these soldiers are still soldiers, and they have been taught to look out for exactly that. Yeah, seriously, they can see in every direction. They have, eyes everywhere. Getting the drop on them is going to be really, really hard. There we go, Tsukasa and Hyoga. Somehow these two giants managed to not only catch up with Kohaku, but basically sneak up on her without her noticing. Amazing. I wonder if the animators really like Hyoga because they don't need to animate his mouth when he moves, when he talks, I mean. Like, this is an entirely still panel that is still technically a conversation. There we go. Okay, so while they weren't able to use that to, activate the Medusa, they still found a very, very fun use for Chrome's little contraptions. I love that in movies, like, every sound you hear is fake. It's been added in. It's not actually what's happening in the environment, because environmental sounds aren't really picked up all that well on microphones. Pinocchio is so excited by this. Seriously, he's just so excited to have the chance to do some Foley work. Amazing. Has the hearing of a sound director. Oh, I love that. I'd love it if that was his future. Like, we flash forward to 30 years, and they've rebuilt all of civilization. Ukyo is a world-famous director. Yes, gunfire. They have recreated the sound of gunfire. I love it. I love that Jinro's panic is really adding to just the confusion of all of this. Yeah, really. The only reason why they aren't able to threaten Zeno's life, threaten his fingers, threaten his bodily function in any way right now is because if they do, Stanley will just call back up to Corn City and be like, hey, you got a bunch of hostages there, right? Well, start breaking their fingers. Start shooting them in the head. Do whatever you have to do to stop them from hurting Zeno any further. It's basically mutually assured destruction. But if they're able to take out Stanley's communication network, that means that, all those hostages back in California could not be threatened in any way whatsoever. Of course, this still leaves us with the fact that, they could threaten Francois, Tsuka, Jinro, and Matsukaze, but hey, 4 hostages is still a lot better than the 100 or so they left back there. Ay, good lord. Remove Zeno's fingers, hands, and feet, one by one. I want to point out, in the manga, he said appendages, which I think implies something way more terrifying than fingers or feet. Yeah, in this moment, Kohaku realizes, oh, right! Hyoga is a bad guy. He's a villain. He is very, very evil. Yeah. Yeah, really, this is the whole thing. They're not trying to kill Stanley. They're not trying to beat Stanley. They are just trying to buy enough time that Senku and the rest of them can perfect the Medusa so that they can defeat Stanley themselves. They could petrify all of Stanley's forces. So if Stanley needs to, rebuild his communication, rebuild his radio, that could take hours and hours that Senku and his team could really freaking use. Yep, for the record, this is one of the most terrifying panels in this series. Maya is just a freak, and I love her. Our deaths are certain. I mean, this is a lot of trained soldiers about to murder all of them, so yeah, I understand why I'd say that. For the record, this is another one of the best panels in this series. Hyoga, Tsukasa, Kohaku, all ready to fight, all ready to just go down taking out the enemies. And for some reason, the guys have nipples. I don't think any of the past illustrations of them have included nipples, but this one did, for whatever reason. And with that, we just had chapter 188, what I once sought to destroy, as this trio are ready to die, ready to lay down their lives for the sake of Senku, for the sake of the future that Senku is trying to build. Even though at least two of them have tried to kill Senku several times in the past. I love this analogy right here. And of course, Kohaku has to be naked while she's giving the analogy, but that's this series for you. Yeah, here she's saying, you know, she finally is fighting alongside people who are at her level, who can actually protect her, who can actually support her. She is not alone anymore, and she is ready to go all out. She's ready to fight to the end, knowing that they will keep her safe and that she will keep them safe. Yep, that girl just pushed a tree over. A tree that must weigh at least 5 times what she does, but of course she did. Okay, is that seriously? No, that wasn't the shot. Okay, yeah. We're about to get a really, really good shot here as the MMA champion of Japan faces off against the MMA champion of America. Who's gonna come out on top? I think we all know. Our dude is an absolute freaking beast. Like, seriously, he's unarmed, she has a sword, and he is still gonna beat her. There we go, right there. He stopped her dead in her tracks. No opponent has ever given me this much trouble before, he says as he stops her mid-swing. She's terrified. She's actually terrified of this beast. There we go. Oh god, okay, I actually think I like that more than I did in the manga. In the manga, it is this beautiful shot. You see every one of his muscles rippling as he just basically punches out of the page. But here it was almost effortless. It was like he was swatting a fly, and that looked so amazing. I loved it. Oh, that was the shot. That was the shot from the manga. Amazing. Oh, God! Yeah, that's God above. Seriously, Stanley, you don't shoot someone when they're doing a victory pose like that. Oh, it wasn't Stanley, it was this guy. Dude, that's a cheap line. I mean, he actually calls him a chump in the manga, but seriously, this is like the strongest man in the world. He just beat your strongest fighter, and you're mocking him? You suck. You suck. You genuinely suck. Oh, God above. That is beautiful and tragic and amazing, and I love it so much. I need a screenshot of this, 100%. God dang! Holy mother! Holy mother of God! Good lord! Okay, he wasn't just shot. He was riddled with bullets. Hyoga too. Hyoga's dead too. Jesus Christ above. I knew this was coming. It doesn't make it hurt any less. God dang it, man! Holding the barrel of the gun that has just shot you to pieces. All to distract the enemy, all to hold them off. That is... How is Hyoga the most noble character in this series? Seriously, how is he the most noble character in the series? There we go. She did it. She took out the radio. She took out the communication. She accomplished her mission, but it cost her everything. It cost her all of her allies. God, that smile, that look, as she's covered in the blood. She's smiling because she did what she had to do, but she is crying because she's lost so much to accomplish that. And also, you point out in the manga, Stanley said, not bad. He praised her. He acknowledged her for what she did. She managed to accomplish. She managed to outsmart them. She managed to outmaneuver them, and she managed to impress them, which is how tenacious she and her allies really were, willing to die for this mission. Yep. And then Stanley shot her, because of course he did. Yeah, this is one of those moments where you can feel it. It's where you can feel someone dying. You can feel the loss of someone. In this moment, they've lost. They've lost so much, more than they could possibly imagine. And we're fully skipping the ending scene, and we're just going straight up credits over what's happening. I mean, hours have passed, and somehow Hyuga is still not dead. He's just that tenacious, tough, durable, however you want to describe it. But he knows. He can see the remnants of the radio. He knows they did it. They've managed to slow down Stanley and his people. They accomplished what they set out to do. Yep. I mean, Tsukasa, he's still clinging onto life somehow, some way, but Hyuga, he's gone. He's straight up dead. He's not breathing. He bled out. The bullet wounds were just too much for him to survive. Kohaku, I mean, she's holding on. She's still breathing a little bit, but I mean, look at them. They are drenched in their own blood. Tsukasa was shot like 50 times. It is a miracle that he is even slightly conscious right now. Even if these, new Stone Age bullets aren't quite as deadly as the guns we know today. I mean, that is the question right here. The Medusa, we've seen it work miracles before. Jinro was stabbed through the stomach multiple times. They didn't think he'd be alright, but, once he was petrified and came back, he was fine. Senku had his neck broken, but once they poured a little vial fluid on there, he came back to life. It is technically possible that they will be okay, that they will survive, but he doesn't know. And again, this all depends on the mission being a success. This all depends on them actually perfecting the Medusa with the time they've bought them and being able to petrify the entire area around them. It is a gamble. It is 1,000,000,000% a gamble, but it was a gamble that Tsukasa was willing to take in this moment because he believes in Senku. Yeah, again, Mira, she was in a freaking full-blown coma. Tsukasa was stabbed, shot, whatever frick Hyuga did to them, and they both managed to come back out of it. So overcoming death isn't impossible, but it is also not a guarantee for anybody. Yeah, now he's realizing it. Like, his one hope, his only hope of surviving this is the Medusa, is the power of science that he once sought to destroy. That is his only saving grace. It's kind of weird that they just went from raining to starry sky, but this is genuinely, but this is, again, I keep saying this episode, but this is my favorite shots in the entire series. Tsukasa just looking up at the starry sky, at the bright hope that science has provided for him. It is amazing, it is gorgeous, it is brilliant, and it is his final moments as he starts to slip away. The dude is dying right here. Yeah. Okay, that was... God. I know I went into this knowing it was going to happen. I went into this knowing they were going to die, but still, seeing it happen, seeing Tsukasa just shot after his victory, and then shot again and again and again, it hurt me in my soul. And then Hyuga, who not only got shot, but then managed to still hold back Stanley with the bullet holes, with wall riddled with bullet holes, he still held back Stanley so that Kohaku could escape. And then Kohaku, just crying at the loss of her allies, just silently accepting her fate, silently accepting Stanley's efforts to kill her. All while believing in Senku, all while believing in the power of science that he could overcome all of this. Next episode, Our Dr. Stone. Love it. Absolutely love it. What chapter is that, actually? Every episode of the anime is named... Oh, okay, that works. I was gonna say, like, I knew what this episode was going to cover because what I once thought Destroy was the name of chapter 188. So I'm like, okay, which chapter is Our Dr. Stone? Turns out it's 189. So at the very least, I know next episode is gonna cover the next chapter of the manga. Yeah, that's pretty obvious, and it's also gonna have just, oh god, that scene. God above, that scene is gonna hurt. Yeah, seriously, we are in the end game, folks. People are going to freaking die. Bullets are flying everywhere. Nobody is safe, and it is all absolutely freaking terrifying. But yeah, I mean, we started off with, Suka saving Charlotte, which may or may not have been a good move, as it led to her and Francois being captured, and then Kohaku, Hyoga, and Tsukasa being killed. But at the same time, if she hadn't been captured, if she hadn't, went in and saved them, then Stanley probably would have still found her footsteps and traced them back to the base. And then, because Kohaku wouldn't have had the chance to destroy the radio equipment, that would mean that Stanley would get there even faster. So, all told, this was probably for the best. This made sure that, they were able to buy time, even if it cost them just so much. Oh god, this was intense. I need a nap. I genuinely need a nap after watching this. And also, seriously, Charlotte, do something good. I seriously can't remember if she does anything good after this, but I'm praying she does, since Suka literally just sacrificed so much to save her. Oh, alright, but let me think down below. Who's living and who's dying after this? Can the Medusa really save all of them? Is it only going to be able to save Hyoga and Kohaku because Tsukasa and Kohaku because Hyoga is already dead, or will it save all of them? And who else is going to die next episode? I'm rambling at this point. I have nothing else to say. This was an emotional gut punch like I have not experienced in a very long time. But please let me know think of all this down below. And until next time, peace. Sound check 1 2 1 2.